Alive.
It's in
shirt.
there. Surprise!
One.
It's in there.
All right, people. Yep, superb. All right, people.
So we're gonna go over Dragon Magazine number 14, May of
Yes,
1978.
marvelous month of, and a marvelous cover. This thing rocks.
It's a good cover.
And
I think
Yeah,
I love the.
I hate to say it, but it was one of the best things about the issue. From
yeah, I
that
know,
point,
right?
Yeah,
from
you
that
guys
point,
are not a fan of the first couple at all.
A lot of them are light. A lot of them are just finding their footing in their writing style. And like I've said before, Dragon Magazine kind of sucked till the 20s and 30s, and then it was awesome.
I gotta
Again,
respectfully
it's hit or miss.
disagree, but yes, it absolutely, yeah, hit and miss. But before we dive into it, I love the egg shape, chunky sci-fi um, ship, and how these dangly bits might be hands or even like frog feet. I love the little person in here. I think that's actually a chick, believe it or not. I love the depiction of space, which might also be either
Like
like
water. It looks like water
micro.
to me.
I was about to say, yeah, this could also be like deep under the sea. It might be the ether, because if you look on the left-hand side, you can see like arms, a body, a face, eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
This
It
might
could be
be.
a nebula too.
It could be microorganisms. Like, I kind of like how this is writ large. And then the TD in orbit, or the Dragon in orbit, Space Marines, robot PCs, and lycanthropy. So definitely a bit of a sci-fi issue,
Yeah.
which we see in the first ad.
yeah, I can't go to the magazine for this one because I got Tanner's. Tanner sent me the PDF, and oh god, I hate that format, dude. Oh my god.
I uploaded it to you as well. You should be able to download it in regular PDF format.
Yeah, I've been deleting them as I get them just to save
Yeah.
space because I've yet to see anything that
You
I.
need an external hard drive just for reference sake,
Yeah,
just to archive it.
it's on my list of about 1,000 things I need to do.
I got me a new 8 terabyte one now. It's plugged up, and I put movies and stuff on that one.
We've got one for the channel, and it's nearing the limit, and it's nothing but our videos, in case something like YouTube gets weird or something, or
I
whatever.
may
So
have
we've
a,
got,
I may have a chance to get a bunch of 10 terabyte drives, and I'm thinking about stacking them on a USB hub as backups. Like
Do it,
20.
dude.
I don't need that much information. Most of the stuff that I have backed up in case of weirdness are PDFs um, that I would just need a minimum system to bring up and then bring up the text. Like I got all the military manuals, like all of them. And
yeah, I've got those in hardcover, the ones I need. There's two more that I'm looking for, but looking for them, puts you on a list. So just gonna have to wait until I get to
well, I
them.
probably have them. We have a cache of all the combat engineer ones.
Yeah, I've got one of those, the one I think I need the most. I've also got like the Ranger training handbook and
Mhm.
a couple of other things in hard copy that I've had forever. But man, this issue needed someone who knew what the hell they were doing when it came to layout.
Yeah,
Just
the
saying.
layout is kind
That's
of
all of
rough.
them.
No, this one was the worst.
That is
I
all of
think.
them.
No, this one really irritated the shit out of me. What was that article? No, I think it was the story, the Rust Monster story. The last bit of it was like one or two paragraphs sandwiched in between some other crap. And I
Yeah,
didn't even.
23 of the articles finished on the same page. They were all just crammed in with a half page ad.
Hmm.
It's like, whoa, no. Couldn't you have just edited that dumbass story down? Which I know I've read elsewhere before, and the second or fifth time around, whatever it was, We'll get to that.
We'll get to it,
Or
right?
just put it on one page with some artwork, give it some space, and then the next one. But yeah, so we're gonna start off with the contents here in the second year anniversary. Them doing a little bit of a victory lap with the games they've published, fiction they've housed, more color stuff, Wormy, which is absolutely worth celebrating.
Sure.
But yeah, they're definitely about to enter their golden period, which will last for a good 100 odd issues. But for now, we gotta deal with the last bit of their adolescence.
Yeah. And the winners of the Name That Monster contest.
Hmm.
There's no images, so
No
you've
images, and one
forgotten
of them
what the
was,
monsters look like.
didn't one of the monsters have stats and the other ones didn't?
Yeah,
No, all these have stats here.
they got
Oh,
stats now, but originally none of them had stats.
Mhm. Something
But
I do appreciate though is that the winner resisted throwing a bunch of abilities onto the critter. Just a simple, strong 4 hit die +2 beastie, which is going to be applicable for a lot more games.
yeah, I
Although I
didn't
do
really see
appreciate
any
the.
that I would ever use, to be honest.
yeah,
They're
I can
just
agree.
mind you, it was back in the day, so any edition was probably lauded as, oh my god, this is great. I'm spoiled.
I'm more of a case of if you need it, it's there.
I was interested in the prizes. The prizes are cool, and it gives you an idea of how economies change, right? Number one was a
Yeah.
$20 gift card from Ralph Artha, a $20 gift certificate from Archive, a $10 gift certificate to the Dungeon Hobby Shop. Good luck redeeming that unless you're in,
Well,
And,
good luck redeeming the archive one. Neville was not too altogether. He was kind of a mess.
yeah, back in the day, it wouldn't be a problem. Now,
But
but
not to mention, his proclivity for making things that belong to other people and just saying, "Come get me."
yeah, sue me. 6 month subscription. I think it's funny. I mean, today people would go like, oh, why bother? And you're like, but $50 in gift certificates. And
Yeah,
Which
I don't remember
nowadays
the
would
well,
be
month.
like a
think
couple
about it like
hundred.
this.
Yeah,
No, think about it. $20 would have netted you
but it's
three.
tough.
Well, would have netted you like 6 blister packs.
Yeah, yeah,
That's try get that's I was just looking at some minis from alternative
Yeah,
armies. You get
yeah, like
4 minis
nowadays this would be $100.
from them. You get like 4 minis for $20 plus shipping from wherever the hell it is.
yeah,
And back then shipping was also dirt cheap. It would have been you throw in another $3 and you would have got what today would be dang up to $100 worth of minis.
yeah. Easy. Shipping has definitely gotten out of control. Thank you, Amazon. But
Lots of
now,
things have gotten out of control.
so there was nothing really you could use for your table. These monster descriptions in the previous Dungeons and Dragons, if you liked them, I mean, they could be add-ons to your thing. But I'd rather just make my own. And
Yep.
this article about Space Marines, I've never played it. I
I'm
did
getting ready to. I'm
six
getting ready
game
to
Likewise.
percentile, right?
I'm getting ready to pull the trigger on the game just because it's the original, and I found a copy. I'm trying to, negotiate the seller to come down a little in price, knowing that full well that nobody cares, and when someone does care, it'll be worth a fortune. But in the meantime, it ain't worth, the paper it's printed on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is like the sci-fi
Space
version.
Marine, if I'm correct in thinking, that's one of David Sutherland III's one of his earliest jobs, right?
I don't know. I'll have to go double check. I'll get back to you on that. But it seemed very complicated. Uh,
Well, it was made by a military guy who wanted more. Like I said, this proves it. It seems a little overcomplicated for a skirmish game, but when you try to make something a simulation and make it more like combat, it sucks the fun
Am I the
out.
only one it froze up on? Oh no, that's me.
Who, me?
Yeah, you froze up on my end.
Um, I was talking about how you try to make something more like a simulation instead of just something quick and easy.
Yeah,
Always kind of overcomplicates it and sucks the fun out of it.
yeah.
I
I
think it
hate
goes over the inspiration for all the alien races.
I'm not a fan of any kind of simulations. You know, in today's day and age, if I really need to simulate it, I can actually just go do it.
Or do a sim. Yeah, sims are really dead on them.
Whatever genre or subject matter is. Want to learn how to fly a plane? Okay, cool. Want to go to a dude ranch or a freaking booty boot camp kind of thing? It's all out there. You really want to do it? Go do it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't think it adds any as a forward observer rule. Talks about the aircraft movements. I mean, if you need something to round out your Space Marines game, this Dragon Magazine can handle. But for the general OSR running a fantasy tabletop game, useless.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really kind of not happy with these articles about games that even back then were obscure. Unless you had a really good game store or you got every issue of Dragon Magazine from day one, you're wasting pages on these games that never went anywhere and never did very well even back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. That's a fair enough criticism. But that way, they were trying to lift all boats, right? They were trying to. They had wargaming friends that they were trying to get played. They still played war games a lot. But yeah, there's not a lot with that first
Not to
about
be
Space Marines. Anything, I'm not as interested in
not to
playing it
be
now after reading it. Oh,
not
What, Tanner?
to be a stick in the mud, but I gotta point out here, given the size of the hobby, I wouldn't exactly call these obscure. Nowadays, they absolutely are. But the next game they're going to talk about, Nomad Gods, is connected to the larger Glorantha setting, and there's still stuff here that's within that setting.
Okay. I actually worked at a really, I'm not going to say, well, it was kind of big, a really well stocked game store. I never saw this game.
yeah.
Uh,
I've never seen Nomad Gods, but I was never a Chaos DM fan. And our local war game place was more historical and really into a lot of war games. But they were all Avalon Hill guys originally.
Fair,
I guess it would be regional too.
that would explain it. Yeah, White Bear and Red Moon, or maybe it was Red Moon and White Bear, that probably got a bit more play. Although, at least know that stuff like Prax, the Buffalo Tribes, those wonderful, awful Moronkanth, and stuff like that, that's still within the larger Glorantha and RuneQuest setting. So this absolutely
Okay.
had legs.
Yeah, Windcrest. I could see it, but you're not going to
Um,
addendum. But is there anything in Nomad Gods for a modern OSR campaign?
our modern RuneQuest campaign, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, like you can absolutely use like maps and lore from this and the other board games, and quite frankly, you should. Like, and also something actually I will point out though, although it won't be for every setting. In your wasteland, you can have something called the Eternal Battle, which is a memory from the God Wars. Go figure, hey Shadow. Where if you enter it, because that's the eternal warfare, there's a 9 out of 10 chance that you're not coming out.
Yeah.
So make sure you're careful where you step, kids.
Yeah, these first three articles are all about different, like board games.
Hmm.
You guys want to go anything else about Nomad Gods? I didn't see anything there that I could really cobble out. I guess if you do RuneQuest, it is adjacent to RuneQuest or in
yeah.
the history of
I,
it. But
I
as a
find
but as a board game, I'm not interested in this one. Now the next one, Cosmic Encounter, I'm kind of interested. I'd play this board game.
Yeah, I know I played it at least once, but I could be thinking of another game. But it was really popular as like one of those beer and pretzel games. You could just play in between, waiting for the guys to get there for your game session, or just kind of like pick up games at your local shop. It was not only very popular, but I saw it everywhere I went.
It reminds me of Diplomacy. Cosmic Encounter reminds me of Diplomacy, and Diplomacy is a friend A way to lose friends.
It was a friend. It was a friendship ender. I literally saw fistfights break out to the point where my game shop had to eventually ban the playing of the game in the shop.
Which one? Diplomacy?
Wow.
Yes.
Dude, that is it's a rough one. It encourages you to stab people in the back. It is, yeah, it's a fun game. But this one looks kind of like it, but looks like it might actually move quicker. You think Cosmic Encounter move faster?
Yeah, I could say that you could easily play it in an hour to an hour and a half, depending on your skill level and number of times of having played it before. But I also see it as one of those games where it would probably maybe get a little stale after about 150 to 100 playthroughs. You might be like, yeah, I'm over it. Or you
That's what
shelve
gives
it,
me
you
a
50
check it
to
out every
100
once in
is
a while.
pretty good for a board game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, but I mean, I was thinking, the way it was back in the day, where I saw the same 50 people every day at the game shop, playing every day, so it wouldn't have been a hard, 50 playthroughs could have been done in less than 6 months.
Hmm. I'm trying to think of a few board games I've actually played 100 times, and that's I could probably count on one hand.
Mhm. Um,
I can't even count one.
Risk.
I love
Even Shadows of Brimstone, uh, Jackie and my favorite game, we haven't played it 50 times, and we haven't played it in 2 years, and I got a Kickstarter due any day now, uh, technically, and we didn't play the last one.
Yeah. If I run across Cosmic Encounter, I'd pick it up at a yard sale. I'm not going to seek it out, but if I saw it, I'd recognize it. So the first three articles in record time, guys, like 16 minutes into the live stream, bam, 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 done. Now this one, I'm gonna let you guys go wild because I'm not a big Metamorphosis Alpha guy, but this whole thing about making your robot as a player character, this is an article with some meat in it.
Yep,
yes.
I
This
would
is one of
I
the
would use it.
few. Yes, this is one of the few point by character creation methods I would use in a game because this actually makes sense.
Yeah.
You've got a limited number of funds, build your bot, and you'll be happy to know this came back in later editions of Metamorphosis Alpha. So
Oh, it
this
did.
was clearly a big hit with players.
Oh yeah, playing a robot honestly seems like whether it be Metamorphosis Alpha, Traveler, or even Gamma World, I could see it. I could see
Aftermath.
the appeal. Aftermath, I never played that, so I have no idea. But I
Oh,
could totally
Star
see
Wars, you
the
could build a
appeal.
droid.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we're getting ready to run a Star Wars game in the next couple of months. Absolutely. If I couldn't play a Jedi in Star Wars, I would play an HK-47 first pick.
In one of the Dragon magazines later down the road, there is Star Wars D6 stats for Terminator.
Nice.
You
Well,
can
and a
brush off
Chewbacca.
all the
Yeah.
voice.
You are
An assassin or
terminated.
bounty hunter droid. Oh my god, the implications are so fun and so wacky. Who's going to let loose a murder bot? Without some serious supervision. Yeah, no problem. And they can just walk through customs and nobody bats an eye. You know. Um,
What people need to
totally.
understand is Star Wars should have room for Terminators, Jackrabbit bounty hunters, and talking otters.
Sure, sure.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
And for a post-apocalyptic
Canon
or Metamorphosis
intends
Alpha
to
type
clamp
game.
down too hard on some otter bits of the universe. Hmm.
Sorry, what was that? Some of the what, Tanner?
Yeah, absolutely. There should be. I'm just saying. I was just saying some of the otter stuff and some of the fan-made stuff for Star Wars. Like, canon tends to clamp down on that pretty hard when it probably shouldn't.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, so
look how popular Rocket is with Guardians of the Galaxy. I could easily see, other Star Wars had, I forget that character's name from the comic books, the big tall green rabbit guy. Remember, he was in like the
Jack's
first six or
Jackrabbit.
seven.
That's who I was mentioning.
The okay, from the
Just hated
first
him,
like
and
five
so
or
he
six.
had to disappear for a time. But I think he's absolutely. Oh yeah, I've read it. I think he absolutely has a spot in Star Wars, personally. So why not the Terminator?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they brought there was like an Easter egg in something recently where you could see him in the background. But he was in the first
Hmm.
one of the first six issues of the Star Wars comic book that
Yes.
took place after A New Hope, which as a kid was the best Star Wars you could get that wasn't the movie because that's all
Yep.
there was. I love.
And I've read that. I've actually read that first couple issues afterwards. They actually do a thing of Seven Samurai, and one of the samurai, big air quotes, is a Don Quixote figure who thinks he's a Jedi.
One of the biggest regrets I have of selling things was selling my collection of Star Wars comic books back in the day. Oh God, what a huge mistake! Uh, there was so many good storylines in the first 12 issues. Of course, none of them ended up being canon, but
Well, they are, even if the Disney and George don't want that to be the case.
yeah, they were even better than Splinter of the Mind's Eye and Han Solo at Star's End. Uh, so much so that I actually,
I think some
pardon.
of that is Disney not wanting to pay anybody royalties.
Oh yes, which is the real
Yeah,
reason they nuked the canon. But we're talking
well,
about stuff when we need to be talking about this Rust Monster.
one
I
last
thought
thing
you
about
guys would
the.
still be talking about this damn robot. I hate
I
devices.
wasn't done with the robot.
Yeah,
Uh,
Pardon?
the appeal to run something like that in those games, especially knowing full well that your hit point kind of resources are more precious than any other characters, but you're front loaded with a lot of equipment and a lot of abilities. It's going to be a challenging play, but potentially really really rewarding in role playing something so outside your own skin that I, I look forward to anybody who said, "Hey, I want to run a robot in X game."
yeah. Droids are
Let's
fun.
also not forget. Let's also not forget. If this is like Metamorphosis Gam, this game here, if you get the drop on defeat a stronger robot, you can upgrade with his parts.
Okay.
Yep, I didn't think about that, but yeah, absolutely. Or at least if you build that into your programming, with your limited space for your thinking meat, uh, and plan ahead. Yeah, you'd be taking stuff off of everything.
Hmm.
Every gadget you come across is like, hmm, potential upgrade.
Yeah,
Yep. Definitely keep this in mind when you're in Gamma World in a few months.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's interesting, and I never heard of Barton Stano before. I always thought when I think Memoirs Alpha, I think Jim Ward.
Who also
sure.
co-wrote the article.
Yeah. So I don't recognize the other name, but on to the next. We're chopping through it at record time. Chop it, chop,
Yes.
chop, chop. Excerpt from an interview with a Rust Monster. I was looking forward to it. I read it. I hated it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I think this is a satire of like the stuff like Jim Ward, who's pretty much carrying these early issues, by the way. His kind of tips and tricks and stuff like that.
yeah, it's
Um,
trying to shoehorn that in. And I want to ask, okay, if this is excerpt, where's the rest of the article, and can I avoid that at all cost?
Pretty sure there's no further article, and this is just a pants story, satire.
Yeah, and not very well done. The ridiculous. If these were real characters, um,
Probably not.
they would never come back to my table. Uh, I don't remember him ever explaining how the character regenerated.
The
Uh,
potions. Potion
Because
mixed ability from the fountains.
yes,
oh, okay, I missed that part. I thought it was from the sword,
He
which
said
was
one person got a beneficial and no one else got anything worth it. More on that later, and then never explains it, except you got a samurai who's regenerating.
yeah, they kind of expect you to put together that it was a healing potion or a regeneration potion.
A permanent healing potion, permanent
Yeah.
regeneration potion.
to be perfectly blunt, I found the humor in D&D from a few issues back much funnier. Like, some
Yeah,
of this is kinda nice, like, how you deal with, a player being reincarnated as something completely alien, but, honestly, I found Monty Hall, which we're gonna get to in a moment or two, much, much funnier.
Oh, yeah.
it seemed like they were trying to get as much of that into this issue, like
Mhm.
the ridiculousness of the hobby, which is really amazing coming from some hardcore war gamers who probably would, book no truck with the concept of laughing at the table.
Dude,
The
all
thing
the
you
war
gotta
games I
understand.
know cut up at the table all the time.
Oh, indeed. And the thing you gotta understand is that people say, "Oh, this game is much funnier to Sturgill D&D." It's like D&D has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's just more of that really dry, light dusting, things like I think it's in the Homes box where it's like, "This is a bull-headed creature, much like your players sometimes."
Well, no, you got some DMs who want a super serious game, and I think it kind of sucks. You can be too serious. I also think you could be too gonzo. That group there, too goof, too gonzo, would drive me
Mhm.
crazy. The Monty Hall stuff, too gonzo.
Well, Monty Hall is, like,
I like my
directly
stuff like
pointing and
that.
laughing at Tugonzo.
Yeah.
This is
I
just
think would make
more,
a good playing style of what it is.
Yeah,
mhm,
I think the Monty Hall article, when we get to it, was trying to go and find that apogee.
Yeah. And then, yeah, are we done with the Rust Monster?
Can we?
if you'd like to be, yes. Sorcerer's Skull would probably be
This
more
was interesting.
worthwhile.
This is like the little tidbits in Dragon Magazine where you understand how they're creating what they're creating, and it shows the relationship what they viewed
Hmm,
for the box set versus AD&D and D, and how I always and it kind of goes along how I viewed it.
yeah.
Most people always view the box sets as the kiddie version instead of the
Yep.
intro, and I always viewed it as these are war gamers. You always have quick play rules and advanced rules, and that's how I always viewed
Hmm,
it. Basic was quick play,
yes.
and then AD&D was the crunch.
I was getting,
And that's not.
go ahead.
Be first.
No, 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 that's okay. Mine's long
All right.
winded.
And you're absolutely not wrong. You're absolutely right. However, there's also a little bit of malarkey in here because he's trying to downplay Mr. Arneson's role in the game. He's trying to be like, no, 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 this is the proper D&D you'll advance to. And of course, that's not going to hold up in court at all.
Right. Well, a lot of that is they're trying to make a brand. They are trying to make a brand, and that's where you get your official D&D versus 1 million homebrews at the house.
When I picked up that box set, which I have right here, still from all the way back in the day, and it's
Swanky.
I'd already started with AD&D. Hey, what's up? Hello, man, Zero. I had
I
already
was
been
just saying
playing.
swanky.
I'd already been playing AD&D for like well over a year, maybe even more, and I picked it up and I went, "What the heck?" It really didn't on the front or back cover really let you know that's what this was. It needed to say, uh, in a little more concrete terms that this is, an introduction
Yeah.
to the game as opposed to something you could add and tack on to AD&D, which it was completely useless. We tried playing it,
Yeah.
and it was like, why? This is so limited compared to the player's handbook.
Right. I
Because
like
it's a
how it
simplified
evolved.
version of original.
Yeah, I like how it evolved into two product lines that ran parallel. BX for your rules light people, and then AD&D for the
Hey,
crunch.
Rave.
Raven.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I hung around a lot of war gamers, so that was how it was viewed: quick play versus advanced. So that's how I always viewed it, and it worked well. And when they evolved the line into being race as class and all that on that versus AD&D the mix, I thought they're both equally good in my opinion.
Yes, and I'd agree with you there. Like if someone says, "Hey, let's play D&D," it doesn't matter if it's Homes, BX, Advanced, First or Second. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. If it's third onward, we might have an issue, but I'm
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't consider stuff where they did such fundamental changes to the rule core. that it just doesn't recognize it. Now,
Indeed.
Monty Hall.
Oh my lord.
Would you gentlemen like to take the first Slavo?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot
There
because
we go.
this was ridiculousness at its finest and its worst.
Yeah.
One, I can't picture this being a real thing that ever happened because there were so
It
many people
wasn't.
involved.
This is a deliberate self-parody.
Getting 12 people together and not breaking out into two separate games is just not believable. And the just it was literally every statement had to one up the previous
Yeah.
until you get to the the ultimate crescendo of breaking out the hold on, let me see if I got them. I got
The
them right here.
Martians, the Green Martians.
Hold on. Not only do I have them, but I have some of the earliest iterations of them from
Oh,
Marvel's
nice!
Ministry.
You've got Monty Hall's, not Monty Hall's, Jim Ward's Martians. Oh, that's badass. Oh, that's great
These are
coloring.
these aren't even the best that have ever been made. The best are from uh,
Nice.
Bronze Age, but these are heritage. And if you're interested, I can hook you up with the guy who has the molds for these, so you could get them in a white metal instead of the lead that barely exists. 50 years later.
Yeah.
But man, this was just it was just so ridiculous. It was fun, but just just
I'm
you
going to
take
use the artwork at the paper. That's one thing I do like. I go through every one of these and I use the snippet tool for banners and stuff for when I schedule stuff online. I do like the bomber sitting there, and everything's to scale. I think it's you got the dragons next to a T Rex and a frost giant and stuff, and a
The
Baylor.
elephant, Odin on his throne.
Yeah, there's a Baylor there, man. So that
Yep.
Baylor is not as tall as the giants, but it is almost as tall as a war
If you
elephant.
look, if you look in like the farthest left corner, right behind the dragon, you can see the same Iron Golem Talos from the Monster Manual. That's a nice
Yeah.
touch.
And there's a hedgerow.
Um, mhm.
There's a little hedgerow
um,
in the front row.
yeah.
yeah,
Perfect.
speaking of
Is
the
that a
Iron
slot?
Golem,
Hmm.
I was
Interesting.
amazed at some of the things that people were. So what he was talking about that people ran as a character. How do you run an Iron Golem back in the day?
As a
I
if you know the command words, it replaces your fighter immediately. And once you're high enough level as a wizard, I made iron golems and took them to the dungeon. They opened my doors.
Yeah.
no, no,
When
but
the bitches
as your
started
only
breathing poison gas, I didn't worry about hordes of work and stuff anymore.
He's
no,
asking
I
about a
mean as your
PC.
only character. If your only PC in going into the dungeon was an Iron Golem, surrounded by a fighter. I mean, yeah, maybe a fighter, a cleric, a thief, and a magic user. But you're running the Iron Golem,
Yeah.
and everybody else is like 30th level. You know,
Well, yeah, the whole 30th level thing kind of turned me off. But I played an epic
All
level.
right, so here's the context. So here's some of the context of Monty Hall. The reason this is so ridiculous, although 12 players was not unusual, at least back then,
No.
um, what would happen is that Dragon Magazine would get a lot of mail like, "Hey, my 30th level fighter did this. What do I do?" And they're like, "30th level? How are you 30th level? We're at 13th level," because people would power game and give out too much stuff. And Monty Hall was actually a game show host,
yeah, yeah.
so they're sort of doing a deliberate exaggeration, making fun of like power creep even early on,
If
how people were
you
like rushing.
if you roll off those treasure charts in the monster manual, you can get ridiculous amounts of treasure really fast.
Oh yeah, I had to school a DM
And
a
there's
while
certain wink
ago. Go ahead, Tanner.
and there's certain wink nods to let you know, even outside the introduction, where all these guys are like Jim and Tim and Mike are like ribbing each other. There's stuff like even though it was from the Tractix guys, we had to admit it was a good point. Or the Wood Elf player immediately getting shouted down, to kind of let you know this is all parody. This is all goofball.
I think
Yeah,
they're
well,
making me just
Obviously,
campaign.
for those of you who don't know, the term Monty Hall came not only from the game show host named Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal, which was what
Hmm.
some D&D games kind of turned into. It was also sort of a play on words where you would get the too much treasure, which I'm really a
The
big fan.
Hull.
Yeah, you get the Monty Hall, which I'm a huge fan of because if you look in the monster manual under Ancient Red Dragon and you read the rules carefully, it says it gets 200% of the listed treasure, which means you don't roll percent, you take the max and you double that.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount. That's literally potentially uh, a million gold pieces worth of treasure in just the coins and gems and jewelry alone. Even
It's no
more if you
wonder. It's no wonder Beowulf wanted to see the treasure before he died after he beat the dragon.
and then if you look at the magic items, it's
Hmm.
HRST, which means you're going to be walking out with about a dozen scrolls and potions each,
Yeah.
well over a half a dozen magic
You
items.
should be
Uh,
rolling those beforehand so the dragon has access to them
oh,
because they
absolutely.
can read those scrolls and they can drink those potions.
And hell, I've had dragons pull out a two-handed
Hmm.
sword just because it was Vorpal or some such. Hey, I'll take a
Hmm.
chance on a 19 or 20.
Opposable
Taking out.
thumbs.
Yeah. I drink my potion of speed and I cast animate object on the Vorpal sword.
Right,
I
Hmm.
right.
breathe.
Or
Now,
especially if the dragon's got a couple of melee rounds to prepare because he hears the people tromping around in his dungeon. Holy crap, you are screwed. And
hmm,
and you know
smart
back to
monsters set ambushes.
Yeah.
back to the 30th level. A lot of these people don't realize that, like with my group of people who played. Uh, let's take after the first year where we'd played, we'd learned, and we weren't so completely immature about it. We still played 4 to 6 hours every single day after school. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, and
Nice.
sometimes even on the weekends for years and years and years. So, getting to 30th level after killing your first ancient red dragon was not really difficult because the bar kept getting set higher and higher and higher. Well, we killed one red dragon. I guess it's time to go to hell. Literally go into hell and start fighting demons or whatever.
Mhm.
It happened, but a
All
lot of
right,
these.
Satan, time to buy the farm.
Yeah, he was in the friggin' magazine. You
Yeah.
know.
Hmm. Yep. They wanted you to travel to other planes, but yeah, maybe it's not that this is overly ridiculous or not funny. Like, I mean, we're getting a laugh out of this. It's
Absolutely.
probably the issue looking back, and you can still appreciate the historical value, and you should, is, problem groups, playing the game wrong, big air quotes, that's more like theater of the mind stuff and like having like a coffee bar and like a boyfriend and shit like that, as opposed to, loading up on too many wishes and a computer to figure out everything about the new universe.
It was, it was an interesting read, but I don't like too much Gonzo. So,
Well, but this is satirizing Gonzo. Is this
is it really? Like I said, I
yes.
found it interesting, but I took it with a
Like
grain of salt.
the final paragraph is like everyone's eyes going, "Oh no," and their mouths agape as he whips out the Martians. So,
Martian.
yes, absolutely, this is meant to be a pie in the face.
I know they're just ribbing each other, so I just wonder how that made it in. But
Honestly, because they needed space, they
the
needed to fill the mag, and it was
Well,
probably kind
no,
of
no.
funny.
Like you were saying earlier, when people were writing in with questions, at my 30th level party, did this or that. How do I handle it? Kind of thing. They probably thought about how many people are out there with the same 30th level, 50th level
Hmm.
party. What the hell did they do to get there?
Hmm. Speaking of what the hell, now being Tanner, I'm willing to very staunchly defend Monty Hall and his friends play. And I'll even argue for the inclusion of board games because, this game is important to someone. I mean, we all love the robot stuff. What I can't justify as much, um, we got this letter here, the Cthulhu Mythos Revisited from,
Yeah.
let's see here, the High Priest of the Great Old Ones in service of Nyarlathotep, Gerald Gwyn. This is, admittedly, this
Literally,
is a bit of an
literally written by the guy. Actually,
I was about. Well, here's the thing. I'm actually gonna go this from the other side, where this is a nerd rage letter. This is here's all the stuff you got wrong. However, I'm less than thrilled that the dragon took one look at this letter and said, "Yeah, let's post this in the magazine and name and shame."
It's just funny.
hmm yeah, I mean,
I will
arguing
say
that
this though.
arguing
I
that,
will
that
say
one
this.
one great old one or another should have a very finite, specific number of hit points. Really, even in the deities and demigods, it was ridiculous. Cthulhu's only got 400 hit points.
Only
Oh,
400.
that's
Dude,
retarded.
that's meteor swarms.
I've seen people dish, fifth level parties dish out 500 points of damage, in a combat, against some pretty heavy hitters. A couple of good rolls, and you break your first couple of 100 points of damage. It even with magic resistance, the numbers on things like that should just be question marks.
Ah, how do you run your game?
Um,
I've had DMs to say a deity just kills you, that you can't fight a deity. Um, Whatever. I don't think characters should get to that level where they're threatening the deities, because that's where you get cataclysms, right? So the guy you're going to beat in one-on-one combat can actually destroy the world.
mhm.
But
Just
he
like
can't beat you.
Well, I mean,
so-
a lot of that comes from, if you look in various mythologies, the the
yeah.
the demigods or even the heroes
Hero
did
God.
did in
Mhm.
fact challenge and sometimes defeat. And then if you read any of Michael Moorcock's books, that's happening every other freaking chapter.
Yeah.
Chronicles of Corum, a great example. He kills like all the gods, I think, eventually,
Most of the
and he's
Eternal
just
Champions do, yeah.
they're just they just start out as kind of more or less normal dudes, but uh, they're destined to do this kind of thing, and if your
Even in
player
something like
characters.
Even in something like 300, Leonidas proves to Xerxes that even a god can bleed.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, but
Yeah. Something I'll give, and again, I'm actually taking this guy's defense here only because, it's kind of mean to like
Someone
take
else will.
a hate letter and make fun of him. This line here I must respectfully disagree with. If Alhazred is alive in Damascus, what is he doing in the nameless city with an intact zombie? With all due if he was eaten alive, sorry. With all due respect, High Priest, who says that Alhazred has to be alive to do that? This is dark magic we're talking about. Wink,
What's up,
wink.
Eldrad?
GG's probably dead by now, man, to be honest.
Well, the joke I'm saying here is that he might be undead.
Undead.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I thought it was kind of interesting.
That's a Bauhaus line, dude.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi's
No,
dead.
this is dead.
Oh, I get it now. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I picked it up instantly.
Okay.
This article annoyed the shit out of me. I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan and use H.P.
Me
Lovecraft stuff.
too.
But the only thing I use out of the Deities and Demigods book for Cthulhu Mythos is the art from Earl Otis. That's it. Everything else, I'm making it up. Because that if you guys remember that picture of the Shoggoth in the Deities and Demigods book, it's got an arm that looks like it's got a very simplified rocket launcher. Okay, it's a protoplasmic ooze of eyeballs, teeth, and tentacles, but yet it's creating a freaking rocket launcher out of the same materials. Do whatever the hell you want. It's Lovecraft.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe the Lovecraft monsters have a really sick sense of humor. Immortal.
Well, no,
Get ready
it's
to die.
Earl Otis
Creatures.
with the interesting sense
know.
of humor. One of the greats. Thank God he's still alive.
Mhm.
What a
That'd
good rolls
celebrate him
mean.
for as long as we got
Where
him
the
still.
players are hitting, where the players are hitting when they need to hit, and doing more than half damage.
Yeah. Designers forum. I don't know if they actually kept these different little categories as it went along, but the total person Metamorphosis Alpha. This is another good one. This issue here is good for Metamorphosis Alpha, and I like this background. I mean, if you really like charts and rolling
And
up
look at that,
everything,
James M. Ward again.
huh?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Jim Ward. Everything Metamorphosis Alpha that's worth a shit from Jim Ward.
I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at that, James M. Ward again. He is carrying this magazine for the first 20 odd issues.
Oh yeah, probably. Until they pick up some.
Like, so many articles are from him in this era.
Yeah, all these random tables to create a background, they're actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And you can easily use it
Mhm.
for other games,
Yeah.
but these days, with the either overinflated backstory players or the DMs who just say you get no backstory, let's go. I find that you're trying to implement this is going to add multiple sessions to your session zero.
We
Which is
could.
what these companies want, of course. But yeah, rolling on this table here and getting the big points, that's a much happier medium, I think. And well, I can't put a gun up to your head or a ray gun up to your head. Definitely consider this for Gamma World.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's handy. Now,
Yeah.
getting to what you guys really like about Damn Dragon Magazine.
Wormy!
Wormy!
It's, it, this issue, while I love Wormy, there was one thing that was the highlight and the most useful bit of it, and we haven't touched on it yet. But Wormy is just if it doesn't make a smile creep across your face, you don't have a pulse.
Well, Phineas Fingers is also there. But yes, it's very amusing that, like a good dragon, he scoops up everyone's money while they're chasing after the last dwarf.
Yep.
And
It was just really good,
it's cute.
simple, charming, beautifully drawn, fun. Like I said, if it doesn't warm your heart a little bit, you probably don't have one.
Yeah. I'm sorry to think Wormy's a self portrait for Tramper. Because when he became a cabbie, he wore that kind of hat and stuff. So it's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, it's
And this
definitely
is
him writing about him and his buddies.
yeah, and this is the first in color Phineas.
Is
Wasn't
it? I
that
thought
a
the last one.
Yeah, dude, the last two were in color.
Oh, the last two were in color?
But
Yeah,
here's
but this
what,
one, this
Oh, I thought it was.
introduces-
and here's something that Shadow's been looking forward to a while. This is the big debut of Grond, the anti-paladin.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so getting ready to introduce an anti-paladin to one of my game groups, whether they like it or not. I've got the sheet right freaking here.
Nice.
Is that in your naval game? You can
Uh,
put Andy Paladin on a seahorsey?
no, no.
Yeah, and this is of course a classic, headstrong heroes demand open up the gate, and they push this guy out. And I'm pretty sure someone actually redid this cover, this panel of Grodd for a cover later on, which is pretty nice.
Nice, nice. Absolutely loved the anti-paladin
Just
article.
be Gronk into Grok and get a modernized version, an AI version of Grond.
Mhm.
It was the perfect, in your face. I'm chaotic evil and I don't care. Is literally one of his lines. Just meta game. You're fucked.
Raven's asking, are you saying Grommy or Wormy? No, Wormy is the Dave Trampier piece, and then Grond is the anti-paladin in Phineas Fingers. Pardon.
Yeah, and I just reviewed the Phineas Treasury. It's a shame we didn't get more, or maybe there's more in Dragon Magazine, but they didn't put it all in the Treasury. So I'm looking forward to that. But no compilation of all the Wormy, which is
Yeah.
really, really a tragedy. Being able to pull out a book that's nothing but, you know, 100 pages or so of all the wormy. Oh my god, that would have been just a hell of a book to be able to put on the shelf.
Yeah, I think they're cool. I like them. I ain't got the space for that stuff anymore. But for digital files, I grab that stuff and then put through a P2. Um, I dig it. I do that with like old Avengers comics.
I need to get
Nice.
those because I haven't seen even one of them. And speaking of Avengers comics, uh, this is one of the prizes for the God Wars.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Swanky.
He does
Yeah,
make pretty covers.
everything about it except for the inclusion of one particular artist that I'm not a fan of. I'll find out who it is one of these days and let you know. But there's some great artwork in here, and yeah, I happen to get an extra copy from the last Kickstarter, so it's one of the prizes.
Yeah.
Um, but the what was it? The next article,
Lycanthropy.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
It's
that's
good.
the best part of this magazine
Yeah,
when it
it's
comes
good.
to
It's useful. It's usable now.
it not only
The
useful
idea of keeping separate XP so your wear form gets more powerful and then you're more able to control it. It talks about playing a lycanthrope character, which I'm not a fan of.
How to roll to see if your psychics and magics disappear, and if you get cured, they slowly come back. This is a great article. Some great creepy artwork. Um, Believe it or not, Adventure Conquered King actually has a rather interesting way of dealing with lycanthropes, which is I mentioned because it actually came up in a game recently. Hey Pete, um, where one of the characters got bitten, and in that system, you have to roll first a save to keep your abilities, and then a save to see if you keep your personality in alignment. And he made both of them.
Yeah.
So, as a trump card, as an emergency switch, he can take off his armor and become a werewolf, which is pretty nice.
I know,
yeah,
but as becoming a lycanthrope, as it goes over here, you will start assuming the traits.
Hmm.
So in that monster description about how they prefer to do this, this, and this, that becomes
Well,
role playing notes for the character.
mhm.
So they have to
And
follow.
that's
Plus, you're going to become chaotic evil.
mhm. Unless you're a werebear, and even then, they've got their own problems.
Yeah.
right.
And
You
they
know,
are very.
great. One of the great things about this article is that it works for every role playing game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's stuff you can take. You're playing Traveler, and guess what? Now I got a whole bunch of ideas. How am I going to
Mhm.
deal with it? Do some conversions, etc. Wasn't this also called the Berserker in one of the Dragon magazines later on?
I'm not
Like
sure. They talk
I think
of giving lycanthrope abilities to berserkers, but I don't think they renamed the article.
I
okay,
know in
So that
I
name
know in
Ren. It's a
the
weird
Andre
name.
Norton story, there's a berserker there who can turn to a bear, but I think that's something different.
There was a movie. There's this last movie called Berserker, 1983, about a werebear berserker. Have you seen it?
and don't forget Bjorn.
I know you saw it
Great,
recently.
man.
Tolkien's Bjorn was also, I'm guessing, a werebear as well.
Yeah,
Of a sort.
And
1987. My bad. There's some more required trash film cinema for everybody. Berserker, 1987.
Yep.
It's terrible. You should watch it.
yeah, I'm pretty sure in one of the best of Dragon magazines, there's the Berserker, and it's pretty much a were Viking
Mhm.
of some sort.
But yeah, this and the robot, I think, are the big winners this issue for all three of us.
Yeah.
This one easily.
Grand.
Usability, it has 3 articles which have use. 2 for Metamorph Alpha that can be used for any sci-fi or apocalyptic setting, and this for any fantasy. And if you want to put lycanthropy in your sci-fi, yeah, great, it'll work with that too. And they're good.
And sci-fi should have.
They're all
Yeah, and sci-fi should have werewolves and vampires.
space vampires.
Yeah,
I'm
anytime
not
you
kidding.
can throw a little-
Vampirella, that critter from Buck Rogers. I mean,
Hold on, the best sci-fi vampire, space vampire, is from Buck Rogers' second season. I'm just saying.
that's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
I could have said that.
I'm gonna go with Vampirella,
Yep.
which I just reviewed yesterday. Which
Yes,
for some reason it's only got like 7 or 8 views. What
right.
what the hell?
I fucked up here. What I was trying to recommend to you was the Essential Warren Years, which has all of her early stories in one.
Wow.
Right.
That was
I
an
went
oopsie
with,
on my part.
We
yeah,
talk people.
I was gonna go with that anyways, because
Okay.
it's the very first Vampirella magazines all in one hardcover,
Right.
and definitely worth owning, but not if you're looking for mostly Vampirella. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a misnomer. There's very little
Yeah.
Vampirella in it.
She's more of a
Uh,
horror host in those ones. If you
yeah,
want specifically the first story arc where she's facing the seven agents of chaos, then you go for the Essential Warren Years. Pardon
yeah,
me.
I probably have them in the original
Okay.
forms. So, but yeah, I was just going with the oldest. That's what I'm trying to do. Is with this show and others is go back to the earliest roots of everything related to the hobby of role playing, which
Oh yeah.
will include a lot of reading. If you're not into reading,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong
No.
place.
Damn right. Um, and then finally we finish up this mag with a ad for in the yellow for the Monster Manual and an ad in orange for the Fantasy Trip.
Mhm.
And then we're done with number 14 there.
Number 14.
Yeah.
Next issue, number 15. I think number 15 has a wraparound cover, which is cool. They didn't do that with a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
Dragon magazines.
Really? Okay,
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
cool.
It's a wraparound cover of a chariot.
Yeah.
By,
Yep.
by the big fan.
By David A. Trampier
Yeah.
of the Green Magician, I think.
Our
But
Trappy Tramp.
yeah, I'm actually gonna. Mhm. I will go to bat for this number 14 a bit because while it's heavily flawed, I did get a good laugh out of Monty Howell, and there are definitely good articles in there.
What?
Although number 15 is absolutely when Dragon is going to start getting good, so to speak. That's when
Right?
it's going to start getting
All I can
money.
say is thank God there wasn't like a 10-page story in here. Uh,
That's in the next issue.
and
It's not
I'm
10
not.
pages, and it's good. I think there's two stories, and one's The Green Magician by a different author.
He,
So,
he really, having just read the Vampirella, where he wrote a lot of the little 5-page stories. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this 10-page.
actually, I think it is 5 pages, to be honest, for The Green Magician.
Well, these were comic
Like
pages.
say what you mhm.
So
And like say
I
what you will about the Rust Monster. That one's over pretty quickly.
it was still incredibly painful to read. I actually took like 3 hit points damage. Fortunately, I went to
Well, I'm gonna
sleep
do
right
this way.
after, and I got one of them back. Um,
It's
it,
Well, I'm
7
gonna do this way.
pages.
Imagine that one, but it's 3 times as long.
Well, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to read it because there's no live stream next week, as I'll be at Watoga State Park and
okay,
up
no
in
worries.
Monongahela. It's
Yeah,
me, me and Bigfoot hanging out.
I see the problem with I don't get certain notifications, and I don't know why. I'm gonna have to go and check my settings for yours, so I don't know or didn't know where to find it. I went through like everything, I couldn't find it. Tanner was kind enough to send it to me, but it's like this big, and I've got to keep enlarging as I'm going.
I
Uh,
upload the entire PDF to Discord down in the link section. So down there should be a place you can download it from Discord.
I didn't see it,
At the
but
very bottom. So all the channels on my Discord, you gotta go to the very bottom. The
okay,
studio is the back room, baby. We're the back room kids here. You're in the green room.
nice.
Behind the green door, what's that secret you're keeping?
Also sent you a
Yeah,
non-PDF version, so it'd be a bit more easier to digest for you.
yeah. When I'm using the laptop, I can get a pretty decent size read, but the way they do it, like it's a video, I just like it's not a video.
Yeah.
You know what I
I put
mean?
it out so I can read it in my recliner. That's what I do.
Yeah,
Which sucks because I had most of these damn Dragon magazines at one time. I had 3 magazine boxes of Now, 2 magazine boxes of Just Dragon magazine at one time. Got rid of
You
them.
know, this is one magazine. As much as I love it, I would never want it in physical copy, except the ones that I already have and
Yeah.
the best of. I love the best of because it cuts out a lot of the bullshit. And puts the it could have been like a
There's like
supplemental player handbook or
there's
something.
6 Dragon magazines I think that I have memorized, and they're the best. 2 modules. I think the first appearance of the Beholder, the one with the anti-paladins, and there's a few others that have spells you only find in Dragon magazine.
Well, they're also in the
Amazing.
compendium.
All right, fellas, any parting thoughts? Because I gotta use the washroom.
That's it. We're just shooting shit now. Thanks for joining us. You guys got anything you wanna push out there? Anything you want to advertise? Some self
I
promotion?
haven't watched my damn Vampirella.
Watch
I never,
dude. People
I've never had.
no one watches my shit.
I watch your
I've
shit.
literally never had a lower watched video in the first 24 hours. It's like, what am I doing wrong? I fixed the fan issue.
I'll
Actually,
I'll watch the video. Just give me a sec.
I think they're literally squatching reach on non-popular topics. The more niche your topic, the more it's not going to be spread. They want to push the trash. The algorithm is feeding people stuff they want to get worked up about. I think it's Russian Dungeon Tube. That's what I think. Unless it's corporate Dungeon Tube.
Literally this morning, trying to find in my settings how I can change my channel from a gaming channel to a book channel, just to see if it would help.
Tag it in your tags. Make it literature. But you know what? That's the end of this stream, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks with issue number 15. Game well. Game often.
Happy trails.
Yeah, happy.